Hey everybody, it's Risky Lizard. I just wanted to make a video kind of explaining the new crystal factory that came out to this building right here. If you haven't built it already, I'll just go ahead and hop right into it. The hammer on the bottom left of your screen, you can click that. It will pop up here where farmland is showing as a new building that you can put down. Once it's built, it goes over here to the right side, but it is an economy building. Once you build it, there's only one way that you can upgrade this building, and that is using this crystal ore. And the only way that you can obtain crystal ore is by doing your daily progress task rewards. And you can get there by clicking go, but it's just your daily tasks. It's the usual ones down here on the bottom left where this little radio thing is. It's this task tree. All they've done is in these chests that you were getting stuff, they've just added the crystal ore here at the bottom. So it's the same amount of crystal ore for everybody. There's no way to buy more to get it faster. It is just a daily grind, making sure you're opening all these chests, um, and doing the little different tasks that you can do here. There's a bunch of different ones that you can do that are relatively easy, gathering food, iron, researching a tech one time, like those are kind of expensive things to do, but like killing 5 zombies, there are things that you can do to make sure you're opening all of these chests on a daily basis. And I usually get almost all of them without even looking just from doing daily stuff. So if you're playing daily, you're rewarded daily by getting the maximum amount of crystal ore. And once you get all the crystal ore, you can eventually upgrade this. I would not wait on upgrading this building for like a building day. The points that you get for your verse for building, it is based on your it's based on your using construction speed ups and increasing building power by 1 point. So for every 1 point you increase your building power, you get, in this case, I get 30 points because I've got the research maxed out. But if you look here, you can see I'm only going to be increasing um, my building power from 6,300 from 5,600. So that's only a 700 point difference. So in total, that's only going to give me like 21,000 verse points for this. Like, don't wait because this is very much a time grind to get the amethyst crystal output. This is every 3 hours you get this amount, so you want to keep your building as high level as possible. Don't wait on it. And you can kind of check the status of the production by clicking on the building. And here there's a little ore cart blue icon. If you click on that, you can see here, this is kind of like a breakdown of what level your factory is. It shows you your output every 3 hours, the max production time, so you can let this thing run without collecting it for quite a bit of time, so you don't have to worry about missing out on stuff. If you let it run longer than 24 hours, for example, you're not going to be maxed out like your other resource buildings, when the icon over it turns gold and it stops producing. You've got a little bit of time here. So, um, that's pretty much one way of getting the amethyst crystal is through having this leveled up as much as you can and just waiting. And the other way is the crystal boss. So it says get more amethyst crystal, locate the crystal boss near your base. You can click this arrow down here at the bottom, or you can just go to the crystal boss tab at the top. And I'll get into this best squads breakdown and stuff in a second, but I just kind of want to explain the shop. So it's very important to note that there is nothing in this shop that is a better deal than the other thing, but there is stuff that I would prioritize buying over other things. So, we currently have the total mobilization event going on. And you can see here for 500 amethyst crystals, you can buy a mobilization coupon, a single mobilization coupon, and you can buy up to 20. This stock only resets once a month. You can see up here on the top left, it's going on for 60 days. So this is the first stock before it's been refreshed, and it's making these little thumbs up recommendations right here, but I would say hold your horses because that's not necessarily the best thing to get, in my opinion. I think there are going to be stores that are going to have limited options for things that you can only buy with silver bricks, if I'm not mistaken. You might still be able to buy those things with gold bricks, but there is like the ammo bonanza, there are the bounty hunter event, and the glitter market. As far as I know, those three things. You'll be able to spend silver bricks in those stores to, buy more bullets for bounty hunter, buy the coins from the glitter market, possibly, or just buy stuff directly out of the glitter market with silver bricks. I'm not sure, but you don't want to get locked out by not having enough of this currency to do those things in case that is how it is. So I think the highest priority for stuff you can't obtain anywhere else is going to be the silver bricks. Now, you can, of course, just get straight gold bricks, and this is a $5 value for 5,000 um, crystals. So, just so that you're aware, every 1,000 amethyst crystals is roughly pretty much on the dot $1. So, this is a $5 equivalent, this is a $5 equivalent, and this total mobilization thing I can actually prove. So, 500 per coupon, that is 50 cents in United States currency anyway. So two of these, if you were to buy two of these, that would be 1,000. So that would be $1 for two coupons. If you were to buy 20, it would be 10,000, which would be $10. So if you were getting 20 coupons here, that would be a $10 equivalent, and you can kind of prove that math by just going here to the total mobilization store, and you can go to the 20 coupon offer and see that it is 1,000 gold bricks, which is again $10. And same with this. This is the $5 option for 10 coupons, so it's it's pretty much the same. So in terms of priority, you're not getting a deal by getting anything over the other. I think the gold bricks are going to continue to be universal. I doubt they're going to lock you out of buying anything unless you have silver bricks. You'll probably still be able to buy everything with gold bricks, but you will be limited in what you could get with silver bricks. But it's a way of getting a premium version of the premium currency for the game for free to play players. But make no mistake, this is still heavily favored towards whales. It is not super free to play friendly, and I'll explain why that is in the boss hitting. Um, but just to kind of finish going over the different shop options, you have gold bricks. We all know what gold bricks are, hopefully. The gold bricks are up here at the top, little plus icon. This is the gold brick currency. You can also click the mall on the top right and go here, and then off to the far right, there is the gold brick mall. Typically when you buy stuff, you always want to be buying it with the gold bricks. You don't want to be buying it directly like through your phone, through your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet, because you get bonus bricks with each of these purchases. So you're getting more bricks if you buy the bricks first and then spend the bricks. So I typically load bricks on my account and spend from there. But that's what gold bricks are. And then as far as the other items that are in the shop, they have a weekly pass or a take-all voucher, and that is a very specific thing that's available in the mall. If you go to the weekly pass section, there is an option right here at the top that says take all. And take all means that you get all 5 of these weekly passes that are valued at $5 a piece. If you bought them individually, that'd be 25 US dollars, but you have an option to take all and buy them for only 20 US dollars. So that voucher, which is a $20 value, you can use right here if you have that voucher. So that kind of is just, you know, one of the things that you can do. And then you can, of course, claim all if you have those vouchers. I had a voucher from 4. I didn't get it from the Crystal store, so I'm just showing you how that would work. And then, of course, once you get another voucher, which you can get from the Crystal shop if you want to, then you would just go here and buy this, and then you would own one of these vouchers, and then you could use it in the same way that I just did. The diamonds, I mean, let's be so for real. Don't waste your amethyst crystals on this. You can get diamonds from rallies and so many other places in the game, plundering trains, trucks, secret tasks, opening mystery chests, all sorts of things. This is the last thing I would buy. This is more like, if you're just overflowing with amethyst crystals, why not? Why not buy, what is that, 8,000 diamonds? Um, but even so, I would still save just to make sure. I would have a buffer to make sure I could buy these when the store resets so that, you're not getting locked out. So, how do you get the amethyst crystal? This is probably the most important part of all. You're going to get that by hitting what is called the Crystal Boss, and you can either go to the Crystal Boss tab and click Go, and that will take you there. But you can see I've already hit my attacks for today. I only had 3, and I have 0 remaining, so I can't use this option, but you can still find the Crystal Boss in this first tab where it says Minerals. At the bottom there is Locate the Crystal Boss, and they share a spawn with the Code Bosses. So here you'll see our Crystal Boss. Um, they're not always next to each other like this, but they generally will spawn, around the capital. They're not going to be like, off in La La Land or something. So, and you'll see that it is, in this case for me, I'm pretty sure it's like this for everybody. It's designed like the missile code boss. So this is the code boss you would want to hit with missiles. It's weaker to missiles. Or it's the aircraft code boss that is weak to missiles. So it might look like this is weak to missiles, but that's not how the crystal boss works. So the code boss is a damage ranking boss where your different damages matter. You're racked and stacked against people for different rewards that you get depending on which um like ranking position you end up in. So this is a kind of like a shared damage goal. There's different thresholds with the code boss that are based on how much damage you do, like your highest hit over time. Um, and then of course, like when you're in the Warzone duel, it's based on, again, it's who has like the highest hit and stuff, and there's different rankings like we have right here across multiple war zones. But like this is like a competitive thing for competing with other people. But the Crystal Boss is very much a completely solo event. You'll see that there is no graph below it when you click on it, and that's because there is no one to base your damage off of for, competing with others. It has nothing to do with anyone but you. So if you click the attack button and you have attacks left, you'll just attack it. So be careful because once you send a squad, you cannot recall them. So in many cases, when you've sent a squad out to go somewhere, you can just swipe to the left over here and you can recall that squad and get them to come back. You can't do that. So similar case with, I don't think you can actually recall with this one either. No. So just like with the code boss, you can't recall these hits either. So it's the same function with the crystal boss. So you want to make sure that your setup is as good as possible before you actually send it. You definitely don't want to spam it with, 3 different squads. That's going to give a pop-up, I bet. Yep. You don't want to spam it with 3 different squads and just not care about how you hit it because you want to try to hit as hard as you possibly can. And the way that you are going to hit as hard as you can is when you are in your crystal factory here. Um, and you go to the crystal boss. So there's a lot of different information here that's kind of just hidden in plain sight. So up here you have the crystal boss name, and one thing I'm learning about this game is you just have to click on everything. So this is the crystal boss. It tells you when it despawns, but it spawns every single day. And there's this little shield icon here. We'll get into that, but if you click here, there are all the instructions. And I will go through these in a second, but I'm just going to walk you through this window first. Up here though, this icon, this is showing you that all of the defensive heroes, so you've got, Williams and Murphy, those are usually frontline defenders, Carly and Lucius, McGregor and Adam. They're showing you that by deploying these heroes and not swapping them out for hybrid teams like you do with the code boss, you're getting massive damage bonuses for having just one of them on your team. So you will want to have pure tank, pure air, pure missile squads, all 5, same type of hero. And that much is apparent by down here at the bottom where it says deploy 5 heroes of the same troop type to deal an extra 30% attack damage. You don't want to do mixed squads or you're automatically losing 30% attack damage, and there is no hybrid, even with the 4+1 card, there is no hybrid squad that is going to give you 30% more attack for all of your heroes. So it's never going to be worth it. You'll always be running your pure squads that are going to be all missile or all tank or all air. Now there is some variation here. There's going to be situational things for some free-to-play players where Mason is going to be more ideal than maybe one of these heroes if, for example, your Marshal doesn't have like a leveled up exclusive weapon. Mason might be better in that case. But for the most part, if they've got an exclusive weapon, you're going to want to be using them over other people. You're not going to want to be using like Sarah in some cases. Um, it depends on what your elite weapons, or sorry, your exclusive weapons are at. Um, there are some situations where, I've seen some people hitting harder with Sarah instead of Shyler, but that is swapping a damage class for a damage class. They're not getting rid of Lucius, and they're not getting rid of Carly, because those are 20% each for damage bonuses. So the difference here is that Shyler focuses the back row and stuns. Those are very good for PvP, but in terms of like not versing players and versing monsters that don't attack back, it's not super useful in the damage calculation because, stuns don't factor into your damage hardly in any case. Like it doesn't make your damage greater. But then you've got Sarah, who is, again, situationally,
Please give
she's better against
instructions.
monsters. Like her whole kit is about um, increasing the back row aircraft heroes damage dealing monsters in battle by an additional 25%. And then on top of that, she also just does a ton of damage herself. Like she does a bunch of damage, and she does a bunch of damage to everybody. She doesn't just do it to the back row, and she doesn't have stuns as part of her kit. Now that said, if your Shyler has
Think
a
first,
completely
act later.
decked out elite weapon, or sorry, exclusive weapon again at level 30, this might not be something that applies to you. But in terms of free to play players, if you've got a relatively leveled up Sarah and a non leveled up exclusive weapon for Shyler, those two might be a good swap. And there's not really a situation like this that will apply for Mason, because you're not going to swap out Kimberly and Stepman in any case over Mason. um, you can try, if your Stepman doesn't have his exclusive weapon, since he's still kind of new for us, you could try Mason there. But again, you're going to want to keep Williams and Murphy, because even though their damage isn't particularly significant, the extra 20% from each of those, plus the 30% for all tanks, is going to make your Kimberly and Stepman do massive damage. And you really don't want to get rid of Marshall if you've got his skills leveled up, because similar
Invaders
to
are
Sarah,
distant.
his kit is going to give you, it's going to boost all of your entire squads by like another huge percentage. So, I would leave the tanks just like this. I wouldn't bother with Mason personally, but you might want to try it. You've got plenty of times to try and hit him differently. For the missiles, it's pretty generic. I don't have Venom because I forgot to upgrade him like a loser. So, but this squad setup has been working really good for me. I've seen people say that they've had more success, putting Fiona on the front and possibly putting Swift behind Fiona. I always keep Adam pretty much in the middle. But my hardest hit came from this setup in particular. So that's generally how you're going to want to do it for the squad setups. And, getting back into the description page here, you can see your damage record. It's not that significant. I mean, this is my missile squad, but it is a raw damage calculation. It's important to note that it's basically just doing a very, very base damage calculation. It's not taking in all other things into account. Like you can't put down attack banners from the profession skill, for example, um, which is here. The banner upgrade that gives you an additional like 3% attack, yada yada, blah blah blah. Um, these banners aren't going to help you. Those are considered temporary buffs. Switching over to the mushroom skin for the increased boss damage, this isn't going to help you either. It's just not going to factor into it uh, based on how they do the calculation. Things like War Fever, for example, that is another thing that is not going to help you. This is another temporary buff. So it says while it's active, it increases your damage by 6% and your hero attack by 5%. You will not get this buff when you hit the crystal boss. And I don't need to prove this because it's literally in the instructions, which I'll get into now. But we'll go over how the rewards and stuff reset in a bit. But uh, yeah, so let's go ahead and just go through the instructions real quick. So basically, when server resets, he spawns and he'll remain there for 23 hours. So just like with the code boss, in the last hour of every day before reset, you're not able to hit him. So you just want to make sure that you hit the code boss typically right at reset, just or not the code boss, sorry, the crystal boss, right at reset, just get it over with. The participation requirements, while the crystal boss is present, commanders with a base level of 20 or above can dispatch their troops to challenge it. This is just kind of like for early um, servers and stuff that are just kind of starting off. There's kind of like a limit because those crystal bricks, or sorry, not crystal bricks, the silver bricks can go a long way in the beginning of the very beginning of the game. So they kind of just wait until people are sort of established on servers before they start introducing accessible currencies. The challenge limits. So each commander can challenge up to 3 times per day. The rally attacks are not allowed. Only individual troops can be dispatched. So you can't use rallies, which, pretty common sense, just like with the code boss. The reward rules. You can challenge the boss and reach specific damage requirement to receive the corresponding rewards. Damage rewards refresh weekly, and achievement rewards refresh each season. So just to show what that is, up here on the top left, this is the season. 60 days is the season for the crystal boss. The weekly rewards they're talking about that are going to reset are not these. These are also season rewards. So these are based on a number of attacks. So within a season, you have 60 days to do 140 hits in total. And just to kind of put that into perspective, if you can do 3 hits a day, that's about 47 days. So you've got 47 days to get all those hits, and you got 60 days to do it. So you can even miss a couple of days, but ideally, if you just hit it 3 times every day, you will definitely be getting this stuff, which you want to get. But it's pretty much, apart from the upgrade ore and the resource chest, it's the same amount of amethyst crystal, but there's no reason not to do it. It takes nothing. You don't even have to change your gear and squads around for the most part. You're just going to hit with your strongest first squad with your strongest gear, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah. Going back to the instructions here, we've got boss phases. Oh, actually, before I get into that, there are the weekly rewards. So this is what they're talking about for the weekly damage rewards, and they have different damage thresholds. And you'll see here that I have 1%. That doesn't make a ton of sense until you actually look at the rewards. So what that 1% is saying is that I am 1% toward hitting 18 billion damage, or Giblion, whatever the G even stands for. Honestly, I have no idea. So the first goal is 1.6 billion. So once you get to 1.6 billion, if you hit exactly 1.6 billion, this percentage will actually read 0% because you hit exactly 1.6 billion. So you are going to be 0% towards this next goal. It'll say 1.6 billion down here of 3.5 billion, and it'll say 0%, kind of like it says 1% here. So that's just kind of like showing you how close in terms of progress you are to hitting that. Um, to get close to this like 18 billion threshold, you've pretty much got to have like well north of 350 total hero power, 350 million total hero power. I've got close to 300, like 295-ish total hero power, and I'm only hitting 10 billion, so you've got to be pretty strong to get this last goal. And this is kind of what I was saying about free-to-play players not really benefiting from this as much as whales will, because a whale can, I'm like semi-whale-ish, I guess, but I spend money on the game, really. So I can hit a lot harder than most free-to-play players are going to be able to, which means I'm going to get more of this amethyst crystal, and I'm just going to be able to buy out the store and ultimately get more of the silver bricks and use those. So the whales don't lose in this at all. There is no advantage free to play players get over pay to play and frankly pay to win players. So, and yes, I'm speaking of myself included. So it's you just want to basically be trying to hit as hard as you can because it's only going to consider your hardest hit each week. I actually hit this 10.12 billion damage. If you go to the damage record, um, that's this right here. This was on the first day of the release, and I have since hit it again at reset and hit it again at reset, and I have still not crit that well with the same squad. And it's just going to, that's why you have all week. You have 3 hits a day all week to hit as hard as you can to try to get as high as you can for the damage goal, because this is your weekly reward. The hardest hit will give you your weekly reward, which will give you the crystals that I have here, basically. And then this will reset. This will go away the next week, and you'll get to hit it again all week, and you'll just get the rewards for whatever your high up to whatever the highest damage you is, or you hit rather. So, um, if you hit for 5 billion and accidentally do it with your air squad, the wrong squad or something, and then you're like, well, darn, you come back the next day, and you're like, my main is actually missiles. I had the wrong gear on the wrong heroes or the gorilla on the wrong squad, and I sent the wrong squad because typically the squad with the gorilla is the one it defaults to sending first, which might not be the correct squad for you if you keep your gorilla in your second squad to have two relatively strong first squads. So you have the rest of the week to fix that. So if you hit 5 billion damage, then and you collected those rewards for up to like let's say 5.5 billion damage. So you got everything in these first 3 chests. You could still come back later on that week and continue to hit it with your correct squad, your missile squad, and go on to get all of the rewards that are up above that. So that's basically kind of what this is. This is incremental damage. So basically down here at the bottom, for every 6 million damage you do up to this target, you're going to get one of these reward tiers. And you can kind of see here, this would normally say 0 to 1 billion and 6 million. And then it's 1 billion and 12 million, 1 billion and 18 million. So it's 6 million increments to claim these rewards. For every 6 million you do, you get more rewards. And then the next tier, it spaces out a little more. It's every 19 million, then every 20, then every 45. And this is like mega whale territory, which I don't even scratch the surface of personally. But that's 80 million per reward chest you've got to go up, which is quite a bit of damage pretty quick. Um, you can pretty much expect that whatever damage you do in a week, you're going to be doing that kind of damage for a long time. Uh, Power isn't going to increase that fast unless you're in a season and you've got the season centers that go typically out here. You can get those season centers and increase the power for your squad while you're in the season and possibly do more crystal boss damage because those do factor into the raw damage output. Um, but that's kind of true with the code boss as well. That's why I'm speculating that, because if you go to the wanted boss, like for me, my goals here, sorry, actually it's my battle record. My hardest hit on the code boss, you kind of, except for that air one I just did, like I've been hitting like 44s and 45s and a 46 here with like everything I can throw at it. Because after the season ended and I lost my season center building for missiles that was max level, I lost a lot of damage. It was like 20% damage. So, um, since that applies to the code boss, I'm assuming those will work on the crystal boss. It's kind of similar, except the mushroom and war fever also work on the code boss, but they don't work on the crystal boss. And that is kind of another thing I wanted to get into. The crystal boss is, it kind of goes on to like the different phases. This number 5 explains kind of what I just explained. There's 5 different phases of damage: the cannon, the armor, the chip, the radar, the core. You're fighting different pieces of gear for different rewards. That's what number 5 is describing. It's just explaining the different damage thresholds. So buff restrictions, this is important. When challenging the crystal boss, some status buffs will not take effect. And then it says see combat rule details for details. So the event period, before we get down here into the combat rules, the event period here, number 7, the Crystal Boss event opens after Season 1, begins and remains as part of the Crystal event. When the Crystal event ends or closes, the Crystal Boss event will expire simultaneously. That's pretty straightforward. Probably doesn't really need a much deeper explanation. Um, So down here, the combat rule details, this is what a lot of people I think are confused about and why they're hitting, I'm hitting 10 billion damage and not 45 billion like on the code boss, because this is very much like a base damage, like a raw damage calculation. And it's just also way harder to do damage on this boss. So let's go look at those things. So number one, you have the boss is not affected by unit type advantages. Unit type advantages are referring to like with the wanted boss here. So this boss, the code 64, is the one that is weak to missiles. You can see it up here at the top. This is the one that you want to hit with missiles. That has a unit type advantage. It is more susceptible to getting hit by missiles. That's a unit type advantage. What it is referring to is if you go and look at your squad up here on the top left, there is a troop type counter. And this is the combat triangle that shows missiles are strong against air, air is strong against tank, tank is strong against missiles. So they're saying this unit type advantage doesn't apply. So it doesn't matter which squad you hit with, you just want to hit with your best squad, which for me is missiles. My second is air, and my third is tank. And you'll know which one is your best if you go to your tech center, and you can just base it on pretty much which one has the highest mastery. So my missiles mastery is maxed out, my air is kind of close, my tanks I haven't even touched. So that's basically what's going to be the governing factor on what is your best squad to hit it with, because tech is going to be factored into that damage calculation, and also your exclusive weapons. So if you go to your different squads. So if I put my best gear on my missiles, aircraft, and tank here, you'll see I've got just better exclusive weapons on my missiles compared to if you keep my aircraft. These two are at 30, but I think these three are just all at 20. And then for my tanks, it's a similar situation. Kimberly's the only one at 30. And then I've got three at 20 and one at 26 right now for Murphy. So, I'm not going to use my air and my tank squad because their exclusive weapons just are not nearly as crazy as my missiles are. These are all at 30. It's going to be my most damage. So, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. That's what that section of the combat rules are explaining. So, going down to yeah, that was the unit type advantage. It doesn't matter what you hit it with your strongest squad and use all five of the same types of heroes. That's down there at the bottom, getting ahead of myself. But temporary status buffs do not take effect, including War Fever, Charge Banner, Tactic cards, active skills, and Season War rank, and also buffs from Fish. This is a different seasonal thing. So basically, these are all like temporary buffs that aren't getting factored in. I wish they would just come out and specify that the mushroom base does not benefit you either. I've done numerous hits with it, and I have not hit nearly as hard as I did with my standard base skin. So I don't think it considers it at all. Um, I just haven't seen any evidence that it matters, but they don't directly specify that it doesn't work. I just don't think it does. So PvE cards and tactic cards do not take effect. So there's like the damage to monsters, tactic card, the purple one. That one's not going to do anything for you. Deploying specific heroes increases the damage bonus of all units, and that's basically saying the specific heroes they're referring to are these. These damage bonuses will increase all ally damage. So if you put Murphy on a tank squad, he's going to increase that entire tank squad by an additional 20%. Everyone is going to get 20% more damage. So you want to make sure you're using pure squads, and you're going to make sure you're using all of your defenders correctly. So although kind of just having a random thought here, I wonder what it would be like to try hitting with 5 defenders. Probably not that great, but going back into the rules here, um, this last one is just deploying 5 heroes from the same troop type increases the damage bonus of all ally heroes. That's what they're saying down here at the bottom as well. It's straight up telling you what to do. Deploy 5 heroes of the same troop type, so all tanks, all air, all missile, and you get a 30% attack bonus. In addition to that 30%, if you use each of the corresponding defenders for tank, air, and missile, for tank, air, and missile, then you're going to get an additional 40%. So you get an extra 50%. And sorry, that's not how math works. It's 70%, sorry. It's 20%, 20%, and 30%. So it's an extra 70% um, that you can get by using pure squads. And in essence, that's pretty much all there really is to it. Um, the only thing that I see people having quite a bit of confusion with um, is, the different types of rewards. Hitting the boss multiple times a week doesn't matter if you've already hit as high as you can, but you also want to be hitting every day, um, just to be getting the attack rewards. If you look here for the achievement rewards, this is based on number of attacks. So I've done 9 out of 30, out of 60, out of 100, out of 140. Again, it's going to take almost all season to be able to get those. So you want to make sure you're using these attacks even if you don't hit it harder. Um, but yeah, this resets each week. You'll have to hit your highest damage again next week. But once you hit that high damage, you will basically get to collect these rewards again each week. This is the one you're going to want to claim each week. And then as you progress through the season, you'll come here and you will claim these kind of like as milestones. And this will reset after the season ends. So the achievement rewards, this is after 60 days, these will reset. But the rewards for this one, these are your weekly damage rewards. This is your weekly reward, and you come here to claim it. You just click on this picture, claim it, and that's how you get these crystals. And again, you can only get the amethyst crystals by collecting it, which generates every 3 hours based on your crystal building, crystal factory right here. You want to always keep that upgraded as much as possible. And you can only get crystals otherwise by your weekly targets here. You get the other amethyst crystals here by hitting your hardest damage you can at least once during the week, but you also want to be using all 3 of your attacks so that you can get the seasonal rewards here. And that is pretty much the most long form, full explanation I can do of this boss. That's everything I know about it. I know it's overly thorough, but that's how I do. As always, I don't monitor the comments on this. I just put this information out there to help people, and please don't roast me.